Rochelle, bonjour and bienvenue to Audi Stadium here in Washington, D.C. Yes, we're changing things up a little. It's perhaps fitting that the US and France have both celebrated their Independence Days this month, because if the two countries share lots of historic links, well, it hasn't quite translated to football, and yet France is a huge footballing power. The Women's World Cup you mentioned was a watershed moment for the game, not least for gender equality, and it all happened in France. And let's remember, the men's national team in France are the current world champions. But we're talking about national teams here. There's a problem and a disconnect in France when it comes to clubs. Just take a look at this for a second, Rochelle. Now, I'm not trying to catch you out, but I dare say, if these badges were AC Milan or Barcelona, you would recognize them instantly. These are the 4 French clubs coming to the United States to try and sell themselves to US fans, because they've virtually no international profile right now. And that has been a problem for the French Soccer League in marketing itself to fans, not just here in the United States, but across the world as well. But hopefully that is about to change.
Training the next generation with a little French flair. Players from Saint-Etienne Football Club are also hoping to win some new fans on their first visit to the US. But they may have work to do on brand recognition in some cases.
What is the team name? Saint? I don't know. They won like 10 cups.
I know back in 2006, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang used to play there, and that was my favorite player.
Saint-Etienne dominated French football in the 1970s.
But today, Saint-Etienne have nothing like the global profile of European powerhouses such as Barcelona, Liverpool or Munich. So they're trying to change that by joining fellow French clubs Bordeaux, Marseille and Montpellier in an unprecedented mini-tournament here in Washington, D.C. to try to win over American fans.
France's national team has won the World Cup twice in the last 20 years with some of the game's greatest ever players. But with the exception of Paris Saint-Germain, French domestic teams were largely left behind by European football's multi-billion-dollar globalization. PSG's Qatari owners made Neymar and Kylian Mbappe the world's 2 most expensive players. A mix of high debts, low fan attendance and lack of investment prompting players to join wealthier clubs abroad have all been blamed.
On le voit par nos résultats en Coupe d'Europe.
You can see from the results in Europe, we have much smaller budgets today. Our only club is Paris Saint-Germain. We have Monaco behind that, but after that, we're a long way behind.
Mais après les autres, on est très très loin.
Even so, foreign investors see slumbering giants in France. In 2015, second division side Sochaux was bought by a Chinese consortium. And last year, Bordeaux became the second French club after Marseille to be acquired by US investors. Its new coach and players are trying to manage expectations with the millions of dollars being invested.
Do you need to win the Champions League this season?
No, we are in the process of, first of all, to on our foundations, on the club foundations, regarding to rebuild a new type of culture.
I guess it does change a little bit the goals which the club sets. On the other hand, it doesn't change the pressure, because I think the pressure should always be very high.
But if the players want a global platform, their clubs and their league need to find a way to compete off the field, marketing themselves with the best of the best in England, Germany, Italy and Spain.
Well, Rochelle, it's Saint-Etienne, who we saw just there, that are playing the first game this evening here at Audi Field, kicking off against Montpellier in just over half an hour. The stadium isn't exactly throbbing, let's be honest. It's a 20,000 capacity stadium, and that perhaps reflects the expectations for what really is very much an experimental push by the French soccer authorities into the United States. You might be wondering, if Paris Saint-Germain is such a global brand now and such a rich club, why aren't they here in the United States? Well, the answer is they're looking east. They're in China right now, playing Italian and Spanish clubs, as well as another French club. And they've been doing that for some years now. And of course, that is something that these French clubs will have to think about if they truly want to go global, is courting that all-important Chinese market. Rochelle.
So, Owen, some French clubs are benefiting from these millions of dollars of investment. What kind of return are they expecting?
Yeah, of course. If you're going to put some money into a football club, particularly these American owners, who've bought into Bordeaux and Marseille, they're going to want a return for it. I was talking to the club a little earlier, and they're trying to keep expectations low on this and talk about a project. But it's clear that the marketing element of this is almost as important as what they do on the field. These clubs are businesses now. French clubs have lagged behind for years, both in terms of marketing, both in terms of their communication and so on, and this is something that they want to change. There have been some historic problems with French clubs as well. They were never really set up to make money. That said, they've been fairly well run financially and haven't run into too much trouble. But we're going to get more on this a little bit later, Rochelle, in Global Business. We will have an exclusive interview right here at Audi Stadium with Joseph de Grosser. He's the new American owner of Bordeaux that we heard from a little earlier. So we'll have more on that and a little exclusive for you in just a bit. From here, it's back to you.